Welcome back, everyone, to EA Sports, 2 steps from greatness, and never short on style. Oregon is setting the mark for universities to aspire to when it comes to not only athletics, but the flair needed to attract both students and athletes. And right now, we're joined by Tinker Hatfield, Vice President of Design and Special Projects at Nike, and he just happens to be the man behind Air Jordan brand. And Tinker, first of all, thank you very much for stopping by. And you know, this is your old stomping ground. You're from the area. You ran track at Oregon and were a state champion sprinter during the days when they were running 100 yards.
That's right.
What's it like to have a chance to come back to your school and see some of the great things that have happened at Oregon?
Well, it's been a fun project, but also a great honor to be asked to help out. And I think as we all get older and we kind of continue on in our careers from school to being a professional, you start to want to give back, you know, more and more. And so I feel like again I've been lucky to have this chance to contribute back to my alma mater.
And you were coached by the legend Bill Bowerman when you ran track at Oregon. You also, as we talked, were a pole vaulter. You segued into that. Can you give us an idea of what the spirit is like of athletics in the state of Oregon and at the university?
Well, you know, we really had to sit down and sort of think through that, because the University of Oregon has a long history, but it was really kind of inconsistent. And there was always this great track program, and there were sometimes good basketball or good football programs. But really, we sat down and we really started to identify what was great about Oregon and why you would want to come here as a student athlete. And one of the things that popped up for us is that Oregon is kind of a quirky, unique place. It's kind of tucked up here in the Pacific Northwest, and you know, people come here because they want to come here and kind of get away maybe from the big city life sometimes, and but yet it's very progressive too. So we knew that the University of Oregon was all about being modern and being unique, and then also it was certainly about coming here to study and then excel in sports.
All right, we'll talk about how modern and how unique it is about this basketball court, this facility, in just a moment. But first of all, I want to talk about Air Jordan and you being the designer of Jordans. How did that take place? You're an architect by trade, but how did you get into the sneaker game?
Well, you know, I was really fortunate to go to school and compete under Bill Bowerman, who was one of the founders of Nike. So I had a little bit of an in. I had a unique background where I was involved in sports, you know, at a pretty high level. And I also had this design background through architecture. So when I ended up ultimately becoming the corporate architect for Nike, it actually became quite obvious to me that, wait a minute, the real action would be to work on you know, shoes and apparel, and that was really you know, what was so important to the company, and to try and help athletes perform better. So I got very excited about that, and it was really a natural transition for me because of that unique background.
So you took over the Jordan brand for the Air Jordans the 3rd year. What was it like dealing with Michael Jordan? Because they tell legendary stories about you having a chance to talk to Michael, and Michael giving you an opportunity to know what he's going through, what he feels when he's trying to carve up an opponent on the floor. And you, with your athletic background as a star athlete in high school and in college, and then being an architect, what they say is you took all that and instantly you started to put notes together to give us an idea of what this brand could be.
Yeah, well, you know, design is part inspiration, and then it's, of course, part perspiration, and you can say that about sports too. And so I had this great opportunity to work with the greatest basketball player of all time, who also is still a very vibrant, very smart, very strategic person who, you know, when you sit down and you talk to him, you just realize that he's really thinking about a lot of different things, and it all comes together for him. It used to come together for him on the basketball floor. It still does as a businessman and other parts of his life. So wow, it was great. I was so lucky to have that sort of drive my design process. And then we became partners, and partners from from the point of view that it was a collaborative process. He'd have ideas, I'd have ideas. You know, I'm more schooled in design work than him, so then I would just take all of the ideas back and then go put it together, and then you know, track him down someplace and show him the results. And he would say, yeah, I like it, or no, let's try something else. But really fun process.
What's it like when you're going to design a shoe? Like, for example, here's an old school Jordan.
Yeah, there's,
you know, you remember that one,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, the Air Jordan 4.
The Air Jordan 4. I remember when these came out, and you know, the lines around the corner of the shoe stores were just as long as you could imagine. But what's the process like? You go into a room, you got some ideas in your head, but how do you know how to put them all together?
I like the notion that there is a little bit of mystery around it. You can't tell all your secrets, right? But I do talk a little bit about how, you know, you sit down, and for us, you know, being in the sports business, the number one most important thing is to make sure the shoe works really well for the intended athlete. So in this case, if it's Michael Jordan, it has to suit his physique, the way he moves, you know, the way he plays the game, so it's all, that's really where you start. You make sure that is all done really well. And with Michael, he really wanted to be a leader. He always wanted to be doing something different than everyone else, and he became a natural, you know, a collaborator for us to really implement brand new innovation in basketball design that had never been done before. So he was a great, you know, kind of addition to that process, and he helped drive that, and so that was great. And we're having a lot of fun also then taking and looking at his personal style. He was really the first guy, you know, to have custom-made suits, and he would show up every day and just be dialed, you know, and he was the first one really to try and, you know, wear bigger, longer, baggier shorts, but they were really always, they were always cut well. He just looked great all the time, on the floor, off the floor, and so that was also an inspiration. And then lastly, you know, he really appreciates design, and he would actually give us time. He'd spend time with me, so I could get inside his head a little bit.
Wow. Now, when you look at this building, what do you see? You see just one of the cleanest, sweetest, state-of-the-art facilities in all of America, whether it be a college basketball arena or a pro arena. And then there's this floor deep in the woods, this is the first time I've had an opportunity to see it live. You designed this floor, and it's incredible. I mean, really incredible. I mean, just perfect. What went into this? I heard also that there are hidden codes in this floor as well. There are pictures of people that if you gotta look hard, you may see them.
You may see. Well, you know, I can't tell too many secrets yet.
Yes,
again,
sir.
Here we go. But you know, that process of working with Michael Jordan, we just transferred that to working with the University of Oregon. So, so it's all about not being afraid to be a leader. And not being afraid to be innovative and to try things that other people haven't. So, you know, you look at the way the seating is arranged here and how this building was designed. It's unlike any other basketball arena in the country. And then, of course, the basketball floor is what you see on TV all the time. You don't necessarily see everything else. So the floor became a real great opportunity, like a canvas, to also be innovative and unique, and to sort of change people's perceptions of what is normal, you know, so to speak. And so that's again what we do at Nike. It's what I've been doing with Michael Jordan, and we just transferred that process to the University of Oregon, and young people really like that. I think it's an opportunity for them to actually think about going to a place that's just not like any other place.
Right. What makes this particular floor so cool, because it really shows you what the University of Oregon is about, deep in the woods. I mean, this is a scenic place.
Yeah.
It's a tranquil place, but it's, like you said, a different place as well. What was the inspiration behind this theme, deep in the woods, and how you see the trees on the floor?
Yeah. Well, again, with Michael Jordan, you're inspired by his game, and you're inspired by his personality and maybe his style. In this particular case, I actually started off thinking about the original 1939 NCAA championship team, which was the University of Oregon, and they were nicknamed the Tall Firs.
Wow.
They went back east and beat Ohio State actually handily for the first NCAA championship. And they were uncommonly tall for a team in you know, in those years. So they were nicknamed the Tall Firs, coming from the Pacific Northwest with the tall trees, and it was a kind of a catchy name. And you know, it's really the only NCAA championship Oregon has ever won outside of track and field or cross country. So I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to, in a sense, honor those players, honor the origins of you know, success at the University of Oregon in basketball, but do it in a unique way that actually is even a little bit controversial. So it was kind of fun to, you know, mess around a little bit.
I mean, after all these years as an athlete in high school, as an athlete in college, as a businessman dealing with sports, what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the athletes today?
Well, we know that athletes, of course, are forever getting bigger, faster, and stronger. And so for us, that means one thing that's very clear. We have to design better products all the time, because these guys will blow shoes, and young women as well. They will blow through shoes. They really put products to the test. So we have to really up our game all the time, because it's unbelievable how athletic, you know, young people are. They're also a little more impatient. You know, the world is moving fast, and they want to see a lot of change. And so we're always changing our products up a lot, just to sort of be in tune with the culture of youth and youth sports, and in this case, you know, youth as it pertains to college life. So that's a really rich kind of arena, so to speak, to draw from for us, and it makes for a really fun process. And the University of Oregon has become kind of a poster child, if you will, for how culture is changing. People are moving fast. So the University of Oregon is this place where you can come and be in, you know, play in the most modern facilities, the craziest and most modern uniforms, the lightest weight stuff, and certainly you get access to all these fantastic new footwear products too.
You know, I was talking to my son the other day, and he's 8 years old, wears a size 3.5, and he said, "Daddy, I want to get the new Jordans." Now he's 8 years old. How does he even know that they're right? Yes. How does he even know?
We got him hooked.
You got him already. So I go out and I buy him 3 pair of Jordans, low top, brand new. He's happy. And, you know, I just thought as I was getting ready to come out here and do this interview, what's the future like for sneakers at Nike?
Oh, well, good question. Here it is.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you, trusty assistant.
Quarterback.
Yeah, nice pass, nice pass. Yeah, what this actually is from a movie that we did, you know, several years ago called Back to the Future, and Back to the Future 2, and it was really a shoe that was designed for the year 2015, which is not that far away, you know. So you know, this shoe actually laces itself. It lights up. It sort of senses, you know, kind of the motion that you're going through in a sports activity. And so I think you could probably start to see products like this pop up in the future, and really sort of take advantage of new technology in a whole different light.
You know, next thing you need to come up with, a sportscaster shoe.
Sportscaster.
That's
well,
right.
It looks pretty good.
That's right. There you go. That's my size.
There you go.
You know, I think this is the coolest thing in the world, to be able to sit down with the man that designs and has designed the Air Jordan, because as a kid I grew up wanting them and going out and buying them, going through college, and now even as a 43-year-old man, I still have Jordans at home, multiple pairs. Tell us what we see here. Talk about this shoe.
Well, actually, you know, this is just another shoe in the Jordan line. This is the Air Jordan 20. And each year we're trying to improve performance, make shoes lighter weight, more flexible, and in this case actually continue to be safe and stable for the athletes. And this one actually has a special little leash that you get into, and it wraps around your ankle, and then it locks your ankle down so you don't roll your ankle over. But it does it in a really lightweight, modern way. But you know, one of the things that's kind of interesting about what we do at Nike, and also especially in the Jordan brand, is that we love to tell stories through our design. And people find that to be exciting and sometimes very meaningful. And so this one has a bunch of little symbols lasered into this strap that goes over the top of the shoe. And the strap actually is, again, sort of like this basketball floor. It's like a canvas where we can tell stories about Michael Jordan's life. And there is actually a lasered image of a like a 1976 Monte Carlo automobile. That was Michael's first car. Wow. And he's actually sitting in the back seat. If you look, you can see his silhouette. There are other symbols here they tell a story about something that happened that was important in his life. You know, awesome. So there are about 200 of these symbols on one pair of shoes. And it sort of, I think, people, actually, we did it, we had a contest. Wow. And young people all over the country, actually all over the world, there was a contest to see if anybody knew what all the symbols were. And there were some people that did.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Wow. So that's kind of a fun thing that we do. So storytelling along with performance design.
How about this one?
Oh, yeah. This came 3 years later. This is the Air Jordan 23. It really came on the heels of taking a trip with Michael Jordan through Europe. And we did a little barnstorming tour where we'd go and talk to different groups of people in major cities around Europe. And then Michael would go off and present awards at basketball games. And then I would go off and talk to the sneakers stores. And, but in between, we'd go shopping. I was paying attention to what he was interested in, and he really loves well-crafted, finely detailed things, you know, like for himself and to buy presents for people. And so I was really inspired by that, along with Mark Smith, who's a design cohort of mine. And this shoe ended up being really richly detailed, and it's still a very lightweight, high-performance basketball shoe. And this stitch pattern, which is a computerized embroidery, is actually a mechanical system that holds the whole shoe together with less adhesives that are not so good for the environment. So this shoe became a real great environmental story, where we actually put this shoe together with less glue, better materials that are recyclable and have fewer harmful chemicals.
Are you aware that an Air Jordan is not only a great performance shoe, but it's a fashion statement?
Well, at first I didn't think of it that way, because I was just trying to do good basketball shoes for Michael. Yeah, certainly over time I've realized that people, you know, they look at these products in a variety of ways, and one of them certainly is a way to tell a personal story about yourself in terms of fashion. So people buy these shoes and wear them, and whatever shoe they like sort of actually fits in with their life too.
Because most of the people that buy these shoes aren't really serious basketball players, because but they do like having an Air Jordan because it's always clean, it's always different, it's always very artistic.
Well, not everybody has hops like you. That's right. So you have to sort of, you know, get involved in some other specialness in life. And so people, they get married in these shoes. They save them. They buy multiple colors, and they collect them just like you would collect playing cards almost, or even more. You know, like some people collect, collect various other kinds of little knickknacks, and people really place a high value on these. And I once went to a sneaker collector competition. There was a pair of Air Jordans in the competition that the collector had paid $60,000 for. Wow! Because they're so rare, and it was part of his collection. So wow. There's this collector thing, and then there's the fashion side, like you said. And how does it look with my whole kind of
gear?
Yeah.
Right.
How does it hook up? Right. So. Wow. It's pretty fun.
I don't know who named you Tinker, but what a fitting name.
Yeah, it's my real name too. It's not a nickname. So I can thank my parents for that, or curse them for that.
Tinker, thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Man. This was so much fun to have a chance to sit down with you and pick your brain and talk to you about what's happened in the past and what's going on in the future with the University of Oregon, Air Jordans, and you in general. By the way, you're a track coach, and you're going to coach a meet as soon as you leave here.
That's right. I'm going to drive up the freeway to Portland, and I'll be coaching in a track meet in just a couple of hours.
How do you like that, you know, working and traveling like you do, and then coming back and having a chance to spend some time with kids?
It's great, because you can be inspired by great athletes at the college or the pro level, but you can also really learn a lot by working with younger people who haven't quite made it yet, and and they're a really good source of inspiration. And it's really important to give back and help young people out.
No doubt. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Just super cool. Thanks, Gus. Appreciate it.